Balingup is a small town around 3 hours south of Perth. But we call ourselves a village because, with a population of less than 600 people, we have to look after each other and make our own fun. As you can see from this photograph, we also believe that we live at the centre of the universe. In the 2021 census, we found that 67% of our population were over 45 years old, and our median age is 58. But that doesn't slow us down because we have over 40 active community groups and nearly 40% of our population identified as doing some form of volunteering in the census. And a lot of us like to dress up. There are 28 businesses and community enterprises in the village, and 10 of those are run by volunteers. Here's a good example: Golden Valley Tree Park, located just outside of town. Golden Valley is the largest arboretum in Western Australia, and although the land is owned by the state, the park is run by volunteers. A recreation centre is owned by the Shire but also run by volunteers. Our community centre and workspace are both owned and managed by Balingup Progress Association, and any community group can use the community centre for free. When our Shire wouldn't build homes for older residents because we didn't have a doctor or a pharmacy in town, Balingup CWA swung into action and a not-for-profit committee was formed. We now have 7 cottages, all managed by volunteers. Within a few years, a pharmacy moved into town and was soon followed by a doctor's surgery.
The idea came up in the 1980s by a CWA member who wanted to stay in her own town, but there were no retirement homes. We formed a committee called Vintage. It's a not-for-profit incorporated body. We started with 3 cottages and now we have 7.
This is completely run by volunteers, and I've been on the committee ever since it started. And guess what? Now I've moved in.
Balingup is also well known for its events. The first was the Small Farm Field Day, which started in 1991 and now gets anywhere between 5,000 and 10,000 visitors each year. This attendance has been achieved by following a few simple principles: excellent quality of stalls and speakers, keeping it affordable for families, and not focusing on profit. We have always made enough not to have to rely on grants or external funding, and in the last 20 years, the field day has donated over $500,000 in profits, which have been returned to the community through a small grants program. In 1995, the Balingup Medieval Carnival took on a life of its own. Who could imagine a small West Australian farming community coming up with an idea like this? We discovered that a lot of people like to dress up, dance, fight, and listen to medieval music. We even have our own permanent castle. Around 8,500 people came to the 2024 event, and we seem to have found a niche market for the young and the young at heart. 2025 is the 30th anniversary of the Carnival, and it all came out of the imagination of one Balingup resident. She can tell you herself, and probably will.
Balingup's Carnival started in 1995 as a celebration of Balingup's quirky persona. Since then, we've developed a loyal partnership with all of WA's established medieval groups. The first 10 years, I funded it completely because I'm passionate about events that promote the values of chivalry. Since then, it has exploded because I've found that I'm not the only one who likes to dress up and play the fool.
People often ask how all this happens in one small community, And of course, the secret is to have such an amazing group of volunteers who put in hundreds of unpaid hours behind the scenes. But we also have another secret weapon. In the early days of the Small Farm Field Day, Balingup Progress Association registered the event as an agricultural show and secured an amazing insurance policy that covers all activities carried out under the name of the Progress Association. We took full advantage of this and in 2024 have 16 subcommittees covering a wide range of activities and events. When someone has a good idea, they come to a Balingup Progress Association meeting and ask to form a subcommittee. We send a summary of what they want to do to our insurance broker. They agree and the new subcommittee is formed. This means that subcommittees can focus on running their activity and don't have to worry about becoming an incorporated body. They don't have to do annual returns to government nor fundraising to pay for insurance. Each committee operates independently with minimum oversight from BPA. However, they must report at the Progress Association's annual general meeting. If you want to know more detail about how this works, go to our website, balingup.asn.au. One example of a long-running group is Balingup Townscape.
Balingup Townscape Committee started 30 years ago. We work with the Shire and have funding from them of about $15,000 a year, but we put a list of projects up ourselves to do. The trees behind me are an example of one of the projects that we undertook. The planter box is another example of the work we've done. A community member from our committee made the planter boxes and they upkeep them and water them.
This is the Balingup Historical Project Group. We're based in the back of the packing shed in Balingup and we belong to the Balingup Progress Association. We're under the umbrella. We showcase different themes of Balingup. We have had the weddings of Balingup. We've also had the early settlers and their history. So we're open 5 days a week. Love to see you come and visit us.
Balingup also periodically updates its strategic plan and provides this to the Shire so they are clear on what direction our village wants to go. This is always a great opportunity to get people talking. In 2021, we held a series of open space conversations, and this is how it looked after the first night. To be honest, a lot of ideas didn't get off the ground, but it was a great networking opportunity, and within 12 months, a couple of exciting new projects had started up. Baling Upcycle is run entirely by volunteers and, since it started in 2022, has returned over $25,000 profit to the community. Another group wanted to revitalise the town hall, so a subcommittee was formed to convert the town hall into an amazing space used for classical concerts, forums and other events. It's hard to believe this used to be the badminton court. Now they are looking at partnering with local businesses to expand into weddings. Their aim is to create job opportunities for the many artistic young people who live in the town. Most importantly, the BARC committee is run primarily by young people who are aged under 45 years. At this point, we want to say that young people are volunteering in our town. Remember, they comprise just 17% of the population, so there's less than 100 people aged 20 to 44. A good example of this is Blackwood United, the only soccer club in the Blackwood area. They have 9 teams and over 250 players, all coordinated by 30 volunteers. The secret to enrolling young people is to help them get their own projects off the ground, running activities that they are passionate about, and helping them financially if you can. Don't expect them to get involved in your project because that was your dream and your passion.
Our events have always done well financially, and profits from the Small Farm Field Day were distributed via a trust fund to events like Telling Tales, which is a storytelling event for children, and also our community forest garden. So it's really helped to get smaller community groups up and running. Other groups like the Carnival and Baling Upcycle chose to distribute their profits in separately, but still went back to the community. In 2022, the Progress Association put forward the idea of putting all the money into one pot and distributing it through one fund. We also suggested that part of those profits should be set aside for a futures fund. The model looks a bit like this. Representatives from groups who contribute to the fund will be invited to sit on the selection panel, so the people who do all the fundraising will have a direct say in how it's distributed. Progress Association also maintains a rainy day insurance account. This is how we self-insure against any event being cancelled due to rain. Thankfully, no event has ever had to call on it.
Here's another Baling Up idea that was started from scratch because of the changing climate. The floods and fires in the eastern states were clear evidence that communities cannot rely on government to save them. This was Baling Up Main Street a few years ago. In 2020, the town lost power for 18 hours during a bushfire, which meant we lost mobile phones, landlines, in fact all forms of communication. We organised a meeting with Western Power, Telstra, the Shire and many others, but there was no defined model for communities to adopt, so we started to develop our own plans. In February 2022, it happened again. Baling Up found itself squashed between a watch and act to the north and an emergency warning to the south. It was a 38-degree day and the power was off. This was the fire cloud that most people would have seen that night. We knew we could expect our mobile phones to lose service in the next few hours, but were powerless and went to bed. But this was the final straw, and we said never again. Baling Up Resilience Group was formed as a subcommittee of the Progress Association. We announced that our rec centre would be a place where people could go to support each other and work with the Shire to obtain a generator, satellite phone and Sky Muster telecommunications unit, which allows for up to 100 people to make VoIP phone calls. The centre is opened by the community, run by volunteers, and provides a place where older people can have a cup of tea and cool down in the air conditioning. We call it CWA on steroids because it provides the service that CWA used to, but with lots more. It took 4 years to make this happen, but the Baling Up community is much better prepared now than ever before. We have a detailed written activation process with step-by-step guides on how to operate the generator, satellite phone and Sky Muster. The aim is for anyone to be able to open the centre. It doesn't rely on any one individual. Our vision is to connect to other communities and, with funding from Rural Aid, in 2024 Baling Up shared its template with 4 other communities. It was no surprise they faced the same problems as Baling Up. No community plan in place, poor telecommunications, no generator or sources of backup power. By now you will have guessed that Baling Up is a bit of a can-do community. In fact, we try to avoid telling people what they can't do, instead telling them what they can do. Setting up a resilience group takes time and effort, but once it is established, it takes just 1 meeting a year to update. So, now you know a little bit about Baling Up, and you know it's all about volunteers putting in hundreds of hours of unpaid work. And nothing works if you don't have fun.
Come to Balingup. It's the centre of the universe.
Come live in the vintage cottages.
And join the Townscape Committee and do exciting gardening projects.
Or make a video.
No! Come to the carnival!